Debbie, thank you so much for coming on to this show today, to MindBoost. We are just so excited to have you. I have had some experiences in the last couple years that have led me to truly understand the importance of the work that you're doing. So, as we are diving in here, tell us a little bit about your story. What, brought you to realize that there was a huge need for giving caregiving support?
Well, first, Britta, thank you so much for having me on the show. I love talking to caregivers and supporting them anytime I get the chance. Really, it was a little hospice nurse that changed the trajectory of my life. It was crazy. I'd already cared for my dad with Parkinson's until he had passed away, and my mother in law was passing in our guest room. I had hospice come in much too late because I didn't know any better. But she was there and she saw the bed alert system that my husband and I created. She said, "Where did you read about this stuff?" And I laughed. I'm like, "I didn't read about it anywhere. We created it because nothing on the market worked for us." She said, "This would really help other caregivers. Other people need to know about this."
Wow.
I couldn't believe it because I thought everybody else had it figured out. Everybody else knows what they're doing. I'm the only one who doesn't know what's happening. So I prayed about it that night. When I woke up the next morning, I knew this is why you're going through this, Debbie. This is why you still have your mom with vascular dementia and cared for your dad and your mother in law so that you can relate and support other people. That's when I started working on my first book, which was Caregiving, How to Hold On While Letting Go.
I
And
love
that's me
that.
and my mother in law. Isn't that a great title? My husband came up with that. That's me and my mother in law on the cover looking at my garden because we love to garden together. I share things that I wish I would have known at the beginning. I shared things that I learned along the journey with all three of them, pieces of it, and questions to ask facilities, things to look for, questions to ask doctors, how to interview when you need more help at home, all sorts of things that I thought was basic information that other people knew, and I just didn't. After I started my business, I realized almost no one knows this stuff. It's nobody teaches you how to be a caregiver. You wake up one day and all of a sudden you're a caregiver.
Yeah.
And that's really not the way it works, but that's what it feels like because we miss all the warning signs.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, that's exactly what happened to me a couple years ago. I had just received a breast cancer diagnosis, and 36 hours later, I woke up. I had let my phone die in the night. I had forgot to charge it. And when I charged it, I woke up to over 100 text messages from my siblings because our
Mm.
mother had suffered a massive stroke in the night. I was living in Thailand with my family at the time. Literally overnight,
Wow.
we go from having a fully
Mm.
functional mother to she had extensive brain damage. The whole right side of her brain is destroyed, and she's had tremendous recovery, but obviously not fully. That
Mm.
was a really crazy time. The life you
Right.
think you're living comes to a complete stop. It was a crazy time. I'm still raising my kids and my husband's still growing his career. Now I'm flying across the world to be with my mom and figure out what on earth, how are we going to do this? And, Googling
Bless your heart.
everything, finding no
Yes.
resources. like,
Yes.
like, what do I do? Someone help me. But there was just nothing. Had I known you existed at the time, tell us a little bit more about the Purple Vine, your company at large. You've written some incredible books. Tell us, what else is the Purple Vine?
Whatever caregivers need. I don't put limits on it because I formed it to support them and to be there for them regardless. I do speeches. I'm highly interactive and we have a lot of fun. And believe it or not, we laugh all the way through a speech about dementia
Hmm.
because I'm a firm believer in laughter because laughter reduces stress, increases endorphins, makes you feel better. This is what you need to do. And so, what I encourage caregivers to do is to step out of that situation and look at it as if it was happening to someone else, because then it can be funny sometimes. It's not so funny when it's happening to us. But if you can fast forward and look down the road and see how this is actually pretty funny, then you make your stress so much lighter and it's great. So I do a lot of different types of speeches for all different types of groups, seniors, book clubs, churches, senior living associations, you name it. And then I have some online training available also because oftentimes caregivers need support, but they have very limited time. I found that when I schedule a training at a specific time, invariably something's going to happen and they can't. This takes the stress off of that. You sign up, go through the course at your own pace. You can watch it at 2 a.m. It's fine. Whenever you want. I'm all about reducing the stress for caregivers because it's such a huge stressful job, the hardest job that you've probably ever had that you never applied for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do that. And then, as you mentioned, I have a lot of different books. The last two, The Caregiver's Advocate, volumes 1 and 2, are both now international bestsellers.
Incredible.
I'm so excited about that. Those are real world actionable advice that caregivers can use. I am all about action steps because, like you, I Googled and Googled and Googled, could not find the help that I needed. When your dad's seeing aliens digging tunnels, you need to know something to do. I'd never even been around anyone who hallucinated before, and I had no idea what to do. And all I could find was don't argue with him. And so I am all about giving steps. This is what you do. Here's what you can do to try to reduce the occurrence of that event. Here's what you can do to maybe prevent it from happening again. So I go through all of that. And that's what both these books have in them because I gathered 21 in the first one and 22 in the second one, authors from around the world. They're from different countries because I thought, you know what? Somebody in Israel might know something that we don't know. Maybe somebody in Canada has something going on. And it's fantastic. And I think that people are so starved for that information. That's why these are doing so well. So the Caregiver's Advocate is huge. It will not tell you a bunch of fluff, not waste your time. It will tell you, do this, try this, try this, try this. Because the thing is, there's not a one solution fits all.
Yeah.
We're all different.
Mm-hmm.
We're all unique. Our relationships are different. The disease can be different. So you can't take a one size fits all approach to this. That's why I do one-on-one Zoom consultations with caregivers.
Oh,
They call
wonderful.
me, yeah, it's perfect because they don't have to get out of the home. It's stressful just getting out of the home, taking your loved one out, wondering what they're getting into, wondering if they're nervous, if they're okay. You can't even focus on yourself. So I have caregivers schedule at a time that works for them. Maybe it's the time when your loved one usually takes a nap. Maybe you invite someone over to watch TV with your loved one so they can keep an eye on them and you can focus and talk to me. Whatever works for you. And so we talk about your individual situation. And I ask a ton of questions because I have to fully understand where you are before I can
Yeah,
really help you.
definitely.
I caution caregivers beware of those people who just jump out with solutions. Those are not tailored for you. We need to see what works in your situation. I also have a weekly email that goes out. It only goes out once a week because caregivers do not have time to sit there and read emails.
Mm-hmm.
But they need information. So I send one time a week. It has no ads, just information boiled down and condensed that you can put into effect and use. And so I send that out once a week. And then on my website, thepurplevine.com, I have a blog. And on the blog, you can find articles about all sorts of stuff. There again, it's not the fluffy stuff. I share real world things that have happened to me because after caring for three of them with different living situations, with different forms of dementia, I've seen a lot of stuff.
Wow.
And I share too when I totally blew it. I'll be like, oh, hey, don't do this.
Don't make the same mistakes I
No,
did.
this did not end well. You don't want to do this. Try the other.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
tremendous. I'm going to circle back to something you were mentioning about your book. You said that you collaborated with over 21 different individuals from around the globe.
Yes.
What was the surprising insight that emerged from that collaboration?
A surprising insight. Oh, gosh, that's a good question. In this second one, I had 3 doctors, 2 or 3 nurses, social workers, people from all walks of life. I think in the first one, the thing that emerged was a lady writing about the relationship between her and her spouse
Sure.
who she'd only been married like 3 years and then he had a massive stroke, his caregiver. And her willingness to go ahead and write about it because he died in the beginning. We were just in the beginning
Oh,
parts of the
wow.
process. I told her, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You don't need to do this. And she said, no, I need to. I need to honor him. I need to honor his legacy. I've heard that repeatedly through other authors who have said the same thing. In this last book, in the Caregivers Advocate Volume 2, I had a lady sharing with me how it was so healing for her because her relationship with her mother had not been great. And then she was called upon to be her mother's caregiver. And so there was a lot of resentment. It was difficult. It was a struggle. The thing that I love is that every author is real. Their stories are real. They are not trying to put on this false front that they have it all together. They're openly saying, I struggled with this. This is hard. And I think that's what caregivers need because they need to know that we tend to beat ourselves up. We have a lot of guilt as a caregiver. I coulda, shoulda, woulda, and it's just not fair because we'll compare ourselves to a caregiver that comes in and she's there for 3 hours and she does a fantastic job. And that's great. But you know what? She's not there 24/7.
Yeah.
She's not exhausted. She's not the one who hasn't slept in weeks. So we can't compare ourselves like that. Comparison is just really a bad thing. The books show you that everybody loses it sometime. Nobody has it together all the time. Even when we know all the things that we should be doing, we still blow it. We still wind up getting irritated. I get irritated at my mom, who was in the continual, I call it the loop de loop, where she's doing the same question 50 times. It can make you nuts. I know what's going on in her brain. I know she can't help it. I know she doesn't remember, but I also know I'm trying to find this doctor's office and I don't know where it's located and she won't stop. So
Crazy
it's just
making.
real.
Mhm.
So I give you distraction techniques in that situation. I tell you things that you can do. For example, in that very situation with my mom, before we left home, I just put 5 little pictures in a tiny little photo album and handed it to her. And so she would look at the picture and she'd ask the exact same things on every picture. Is this Ashley? Yeah, mom, that's Ashley. Who's this baby? That's her baby. That's Audrey. Oh, she's a cute little baby. Next page. Same things, right? And we'd go through it and through it. But at least you had some variation. And at least there were 5 different conversations in that little piece that we could have. So that in itself was a huge stress reducer. And then the hilarious thing was when we got to the doctor's office and we're sitting there waiting, and mom and I are having these conversations again and again. Then my phone rang and I was still working at the time. So I had to take the business call and she doesn't get it. I'm on the phone. I'm going, Mom, shh, I'm on the phone. She's still talking to me.
Yeah.
The precious little lady on the other side of her started answering all of her questions word for word. And she's like, yes, that's Ashley. That's Audrey, her baby. And I'm like,
Thank
God
you.
bless you. Thank you so much. It was perfect. It was great. Respite from a stranger.
Oh, thank goodness. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just wild to think I was the first amongst my friend group to have a parent go through a stroke or something similar. But just to realize this is, everyone's born and everyone dies. And at some
Mhm.
point,
Mhm.
most people need to be cared for. It is surprising to me that there aren't more resources. I'm so grateful for what you're doing because when this overnight huge life change happens, to have no idea where to go, what to do is just
You're
compound what's already a really painful situation to feel so helpless and have no direction. It's crazy
yeah,
making.
you're suddenly drowning and searching for that lifeline. And that's what I want to be. I want the purple vine to be a lifeline for caregivers. And I've had multiple doctors and people say that that's what it's been. And that just blesses my heart because that helps validate why I went through what I went through because that was hard.
Oh, yeah.
With 3 of them, there were days I thought I was losing my mind. I didn't think I could get up and go again. I mean, it was just so difficult. And I was really blessed because I had the support of my siblings. My sister lives out on the coast, but then there's ways that she could help even being I'm in Oklahoma. She lives in North
Okay.
Carolina.
Hmm.
So just to clarify that, but I found ways for her to still be a help to me. I'm a super creative person, and I think that's what helps me because when you are so stressed out, you can't think of creative solutions.
Oh, totally.
You need a solution, but you can't come up with one. And there's science behind that because you're limiting the oxygen supply to the brain. You're tense, everything is tightened down. So you can't think clearly. You can't come up with creative ideas. My mother passed away. She was the first one to be diagnosed, the last one to pass away. 21 years with vascular dementia. It'll be 2 years in September. Since I lost her, I get to sleep at night. I can think clearly and be creative for those blessed caregivers that just can't.
Yes. Within your resources, is there a space or a means for these caregivers to have community amongst each other? Do you have a Facebook group or something like that where they can be kind of sharing stories and gaining
I
support in that
that's
way?
It's funny that you said that because that is coming soon. There are a lot of Facebook groups for caregivers. If you Google the disease you're dealing with, you can find support groups. I do that because what I found was just a whole lot of complaining.
Yeah.
At one time, I belonged to 7 different support groups because I wanted to share things that I learned and things that I figured out. And I had to quit doing that because it was so overwhelming.
Mm.
And a lot of the groups wouldn't let me share links or talk about my website. And it's like, I thought you were there to help them. This will help them.
Yeah.
But they view that as self promotion. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this. I have the tool. You won't let me share it.
Yes.
I am in the process of creating, I haven't decided what it's going to be called yet. And I may just call it The Caregiver's Advocate,
Yeah.
actually, since both those books are doing so well. I want it to be a different kind of support group. I'll have my authors in it as well, my co authors, so that everyone can offer information and support. I want it to be a place where people come to really find answers, not a place where people just come to complain. When I would answer in the support group and give somebody a suggestion, they would say things like, well, I don't think that will work. Well, you didn't try. You
Uh,
have to be willing to try things that are different in order to reduce. If you keep doing the same thing the same way, you're going to get the same results.
exactly.
Definition of insanity.
I love this idea. That is very
Yeah.
exciting. You say a part of your mission is to help caregivers learn to laugh again.
Mhm.
Why do you believe laughter and joy are such essential parts of the caregiving journey?
Because the Bible says the joy of the Lord is my strength. That's your strength. And you lose your strength when you're struggling all the time, when you're so frustrated, when you're down. Laughter releases endorphins into the system. And so it's the feel good chemical that brightens your mood. So there's a lot of things that you can do to enhance your mood. Even playing music that you really enjoy
Hmm.
can uplift your mood. And so I really focus on that and being thankful. Writing, caregivers need to write down in the well, I'll say in the morning. In the morning works best for me. You do you. Whatever time of the day works, I don't care. But every day, making sure that you write down 3 things that you're thankful for. Just 3 things. Because when you're caregiving, you're focused on the negative. You're focused on a disease you cannot cure. You're focused on a disease that typically is going to get worse and worse, and you cannot change that trajectory. So you're focused on negativity. And we need to retrain our minds to focus on the positive side, to learn to say, I'm thankful that mom still recognizes me.
Yeah.
Because if she has dementia, one day she won't. I'm thankful that mom can still feed herself because that will probably go away. Be thankful for those stages that are irritating you because one day you're going to miss those stages.
You talk a lot about helping caregivers reduce stress and avoid burnout. What are some of your favorite practical tools or strategies that people can start using today? I think we kind of touched on listen to music, write down
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
anything
I
else?
love, oh, yeah. I needed lots of stress reduction when I was doing this. And still today, because if you're alive in the world, you have stress. We need to know how to handle that stress. So I've created something that I call the 5-minute fixes. It's just 5 minutes or less to reduce your stress. They're backed by science, they're scientifically proven to work. My very favorite one is called box breathing. It's very simple, and you can do it with me. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. 2, 3, 4, and hold it for 4 seconds. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out through your mouth for 4 seconds. 2, 3, 4, and hold that for 4 seconds. 3, 4. And in again through your nose. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. So doing that, you want to do that at least 3 sets. We did 2 sets there, but you can see where I was doing the box.
Yeah.
We're drawing a box going around. That makes it easier to remember. It's like you're stressed out. What is it she said? Oh, yeah, box. Do a box. You're breathing in the fresh air, the peace, the calm, the cleanliness. You're holding it to let that oxygen soak out into your brain cells that have been missing due to the stress. And then you're blowing out all the negative energy, releasing the stress, releasing the worry. And that's what you're doing through the process. It's scientifically proven to lower blood pressure, lower stress, increase creativity, increase endorphins. It's fantastic. And it only
Absolutely.
takes a few minutes. You can do it.
My goodness.
You go in the bathroom and you lock the door, breathe for a few minutes, and come back out refreshed.
Well, Debbie, thank you so much for this conversation. I really do know how absolutely vital the work is that you're doing. If people don't need it now, they're going to. It's something that
will.
we will all need, this kind of support and these tips and tricks and knowledge that you
Yes.
have brought together. So thank you so much for having this conversation today.
Thank you for having me. One more thing, real fast. The Alzheimer's Association shares that the greatest risk factor for developing Alzheimer's is old age, and we're living longer, and all the baby boomers are aging. So we're going to need more and more caregivers every single day. They need to be trained in how to handle the situation that they find themselves in. So, thepurplevine.com, I'll help you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, exactly. So if people are wanting to find more information on what you do, would you share again where to find you or what your
Yes.
books are called?
Yes. The Caregiver's Advocate, volumes 1 and 2 are on Amazon. They're also on my website, thepurplevine.com. I also have coloring books that I created because coloring is a stress reducer. Coloring is an activity that my mom could do with my grandkids, and so it bonded the generations. They couldn't be too babyfied or mom wouldn't like them, and they couldn't be too complex or she wouldn't be able to do it. And then the caregiving, how to hold on while letting go. That's the book that my very first book that I created with the 3 different parents that I cared for with action steps and tools from my life. There's a lot of Bible encouragement in it, and a lot of spiritual support in it. And then I have Boost Your Brain Power, because usually when you're caring for someone with dementia and then you misplace your phone, you think, "Oh my gosh, I have dementia." No, you don't. You know,
Yeah.
you weren't paying attention. But there are things that you can do to help your brain stay healthier and to reduce your risks of getting dementia. So I threw that all together in a tiny little book, and it's only $5, I think. I have all these different books. So they're all on my website, thepurplevine.com. Join my email list on my website, and you'll get one weekly email keeping you up to date on the latest information and what's happening. Not ads, not fluff, not fillers, just real actionable steps that you can use. On my website, you can find links to the online training and free gifts. I've got things on there too, different articles and little ebooks and stuff that I wrote to support caregivers. I am
Wonderful.
all about empowering caregivers. So if you go to thepurplevine.com, you can find whatever you need. My email address is deb@thepurplevine.com. You can email me directly and I'll help you find what you need. And set up a Zoom consultation one-on-one
Perfect.
just for you.
That's
And I'm
a
cheap.
great
My
opportunity.
girlfriend charges 3 times as much.
That's so generous of you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.